Hey friend, welcome to the Halfway to Dead podcast. I'm your host, Jen Lovell. Listen, you and I have reached that age where we are done with the bullshit. We know that midlife is our chance to flip the script and experience life on our own terms. It's time to reconnect with our higher selves and reclaim our inner peace. Are you ready with an open heart and an open mind? Awesome, you're in the right place. Hop in and ride shotgun with me on this midlife spiritual journey. At a very young age, Laura has been able to connect with spirit, and today she works as an evidential medium. She shares evidence from your loved ones to show that life truly continues. Her connections have enabled her to find clarity and peace in her own life, as well as help others. About 8 years ago, she began doing readings in the hopes of helping just one person, but she's helped a lot more than that. I know this for a fact. Laura also believes that we have our own intuitive abilities and shares her journey just to kind of help other people who wish to learn more about spiritualism and tapping into their intuition. She brings like-minded individuals together through class offerings, readings, retreats. She just likes to connect and share. And that's what we do today in our interview, because during this conversation, we talk about what it means to be a psychic medium, because there's a difference between a psychic, a medium, and a psychic medium. Anyway, she breaks it all down for us. We talk a little bit about her experience with religion and her take on what happens when we cross over. She ends up doing a live reading on me, and someone really special comes through. Someone I love when they come through. So I've chosen to share parts of that reading here with you guys. Not all of it, because believe it or not, in this day or age, sometimes things are just only meant for our ears. But I did want you guys to hear some of this so that it would help kind of demystify this whole psychic medium getting a reading thing. Okay. And she also promised me to share what I have decided that I want done with my body after my soul crosses back over. Let's get right to it. This was a good one. I'm really excited to share it with you guys. Hey, Laura, thanks for coming today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Okay, you guys, I just told you everything that Laura does. But her main thing, I feel like your main thing is connecting with spirit.
Yes, most
on
certainly.
The other side.
Yes.
So you are a spiritual medium and you call yourself an evidential medium.
That's correct.
So tell everybody what that means, evidential medium.
Yeah. So evidential mediumship, what I do is I really focus in on evidence, meaning something from your loved ones that lets you know it's truly them.
Okay.
It's not those topics that you can find. I think so many people think that, when you get a reading, someone might Facebook or Google or Instagram you, right?
Yeah.
So I really set that intention with spirit. I want items or things from your past or a story from them to share that it's your loved one. So it could be something a little quirky and fun. It could be a memory. It could be an item. It's that actual evidence where you're like, okay, there's no way she would have known that. These are really my loved ones.
Yeah, because this is nothing I post or put anywhere.
Correct. So that's the evidence piece. And I really like to focus on that. So it makes it a little tricky sometimes because you have to figure out that evidence and figure out where it ties in. But when you do, you're like, oh my gosh, that's what that was about. So
yes. So, okay. So a medium is technically someone who
can connect in with the other side. So a medium is it's someone that pulls in. It's something I think that we all have the ability to do. I know people get a little bit, how is that possible? But I believe everybody is a medium. It's not that I'm gifted and you're not. It's just the way that we have developed that. And if it's been since we were younger, like mine came from being younger, sometimes developing at an older age happens too. So a medium is just someone that can go from this part and connect with others from the other side. So a different vibrational state.
Okay. So would this just be the common street term for psychic?
Correct. Well, there's a difference.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
Yeah. So there's a difference between a psychic and a medium.
Okay.
A psychic is someone who can tap. So how I explain it, and this is my own perception of this, but a psychic is someone who can look at your aura and tap into, it's like past, present, future. It's like, I say you have an aura going around you. It's like the first layer. A medium is somebody that can actually go in and connect in with those that have crossed over on the other side. So every medium is a psychic, but not every psychic is a medium, is how they say it. So you can go to a psychic and get a past, present, future reading. They can let you know about, items that are going on with you. A medium is actually the one that takes it a level deeper and can actually go in a little bit further into your aura and then pull in that information of actually connecting with your loved one. So it's just a little bit deeper form of a meditative state that you would get into to get that information.
Okay. So someone could be a psychic medium.
Correct. Because every medium is a psychic. It just comes with the package. It's like a package deal. If you're a medium and you're connecting with the other side, likely you're pulling in past, present, future. It's a psychic medium. There's psychic mediums. There's evidential mediums. There's just psychics. If you go to a psychic, you're going for more of that, what's going on, palm readings, what's going on with my life, what's forthcoming, that sort of thing. A medium, you're really going because you want to connect in with those that are no longer here. Like you want to, they're here, but they're no longer in
the state of crossed over.
Correct.
That's what you're tapping into.
100%. Yes.
Okay. So you're a channel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So explain what a channel is for everybody.
Yeah. So it's fun. So I explain it as a channel. Like I always say that this is not me. This is 100% spirit that goes through me. So I'm the channel, like I'm the object that it's going through, but it's not me that is doing. Yes, I meditate and I do certain things with my own body so that spirit does come through me in a certain way and that my messages are clear. But 100% everything that I do is spirit that comes through me. It's a channel because it's like, if you think of a beam of light, like a lighthouse, right? Mm-hmm. There's certain people who are very open, who focus in on meditating and calling that in and doing the practice.
Yes.
Their light shines a little bit brighter. It's like a light, a beacon for spirit to kind of come through.
Okay.
Others that maybe don't practice meditation or don't meditate a lot, they might not have their light on. So spirit might not be coming to them or finding them as often because it's not this open. So a channel is just something that you're channeling those messages through. Spirit, you're inviting them in to use your body and your mind and however they wish to use your senses to pull those messages in. So when you meditate and you set that intention with spirit, that's where it kind of welcomes them in saying, okay, I'm ready to connect. I'm ready to share your messages. Let me know what you have for me today.
Okay. And so that's probably how you start before each session. You kind of open it up and say like, okay, I'm ready.
100%.
Okay.
So yeah. Every time I do a reading.
So they're not bugging you all day long.
No. Well, they tend to. Sometimes they can be, I mean, you have to have boundaries. You can. It's all about how you perform as I don't want to say perform because that sounds so tacky, but how you are as a spiritual being. So how you act. So if you ask them to come in and when you do, that's when they come in. However, there's times if you forget to maybe close out a session, like there's times where I get done at night and I'm like, oh, I probably should have. The other night I did readings all night long. I got home and I was up all night long. Like they were just so excited. And
they're like, we found somebody that hears
and I'm
us.
like, it's weird, but you're like in your sleep, but you're also like I wake up and I'm like having conversations. That's spirit still going. Like they're still trying to give information. So you're just downloading. You're getting like all this information.
You just forgot to like shut the door.
Totally. Like I left and I thought like, okay, I'm good, but I must not have done it the way I needed to, and they're excited. They really want to get in. They want to get their messages. They're excited because yes, you're the connecting with them and they've been waiting for that. So there are times, but you really, it's all about your boundaries and how you do it. If you intentionally say, hey, I'm done. Yeah. I'm not doing it. Like airports for me. That is one of the hardest places because there's so much energy in an airport. So you have all these spirits coming in and it used to be like, I'm not even going to fly anymore. I'll just drive my car because this is not worth it. But I had to learn to say like, hey guys, I'm going on a trip, but it doesn't mean I want 5,000 people on the plane coming to, sit with me and have conversations.
Need like one angel or spirit just like block for you.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I mean, you should look that up. Like an angel that can block.
Yeah.
Because you never want to either. Like I said, it's protection, but just, it's again, I'm really big on carrying crystals and like I always carry my selenite with me. Mm-hmm. I'm really big on doing that stuff because that does help it. But it's just, again, if I tell them, if you guys keep me up all night, then I have to cancel my readings the next day because I will not do a reading if I've ever felt that I've not done my sleep. So I felt really bad. I'd call people on Saturday morning and be like, hey guys, we have to reschedule, but I had 4 hours of sleep. And people get frustrated, but I'm never going to.
Because you're not going to be able to do the job right for them anyway.
Spirit's not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy. I'm not going to be happy. And the message is going to be meh. So,
And if you're going to spend some money on something, you want to get
100%
money's worth out of it. You want a full reading.
Yes, a full reading, not Laura half-assing it.
All the people. Okay. And so when people come to you, do they need to bring anything with them? You don't have to hang on to stuff.
No, there are times that you can do that. So I'm trying to, that's like psychometry reading. Yeah. So it's when you hold an actual object. So I will say that when they do that, that's sometimes I started out that way. When I started doing this 8 years ago, I would tell people, go ahead and bring an item and then I'll hold it. The biggest thing is it's like an extra channel or an extra tap is what it is. But I don't ask people to do that. If you wish to, you're more than welcome to. I've had people who wear stuff. I had one reading where a gentleman wore like a necklace with their wedding ring on it and then a shirt under another shirt and kept it all covered up. And it was really special because he was like, I have told my person who I wanted to come through, make sure you let me know what I'm wearing today. Like that would be my evidence. And sure enough, when they came in, they're like, tell him about the shirt that he's wearing and then the ring that he has around the necklace. And he had it all covered up. So it was really funny.
So you didn't know.
Didn't know, but it was really cool.
But
so
how could you have known he was wearing that under his clothes?
Right. Yeah. So I say, if you want to wear something, you're more than welcome to. But again, if you don't wear anything at all, that's okay too. So yeah, I don't need anything for those actual readings.
You just said if you don't wear anything at all.
I don't want
you. Are we doing naked readings?
No, Yeah, that might be.
You better clarify. You're going to get some crazy at your door with like no clothes.
So true. Good call. Yeah. Don't, if you don't want to
wear
bring
your clothes,
object,
you guys.
Yeah, please bring your clothes.
Just wear your everyday clothes. Yeah. Be comfy. We don't care what
birthday
clothes.
suits for readings. Yeah. Unless you're on Zoom and I only have to see your head, then I don't really care
to
what you
wear
do.
anything. I was like, no, you should wear something.
Wear clothes.
For sure. Okay. So is it mostly spirits that have crossed over that you connect with?
Yeah.
Like you can probably still, if a spirit guide wants to come in and say stuff,
Yes.
they can.
Yeah.
But primarily that's your specialty.
Primarily my specialty is for spirits who have crossed over to come through. What will happen sometimes during a session is that spirit will share a message about someone who is living. So like they will bring a message in and you know, I'm having something for a grandmother coming in. Maybe she's having oxygen issues or blood pressure issues, but I'm having a message for her want to come in. They'll be like, oh, she's still living. I'm like, and that's okay. Nothing's going to happen to her, but spirit wants to talk about them. So spirit will still bring in messages for those that are living, but truly who I'm connecting with are past loved ones. They're people who have passed over.
Because not all mediums do that.
Oh, see?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I've never.
No, I just mean like if you get a reading with someone, don't always expect that they're going to talk to your deceased loved ones.
100%. You're correct. So there are people, and again, I've never had any really like that, but there are mediums who go in and connecting with the guides. It's more, I don't know what they call themselves, if it's just a psychic medium versus, I don't know. I guess you have to ask their specialty really, because for me, my focus, like when I do it, I really want to connect with your loved ones. That is my, I want that part of it. And then I've
had readings with people who specialize in either tapping into your Akashic records.
Okay.
Yep, I've had people who specialize in channeling your angels. Okay. So I think everybody kind of has a little bit of a specialty.
Yes.
I don't know.
And I'm clueless at stuff. Like I never think about it. I'm just always like, I want what I, you know, I mean,
that's what you're used to.
I'm used to that.
There's people that channel all different kinds of things.
I love that. Did you enjoy those readings?
Yes.
Good.
And they're still spot on.
Yeah.
Because it's not like your angels know less about you than your deceased loved ones.
Right.
It's just they've been with you probably a really long time.
A really long time. And maybe another lifetime.
Multiple lives. Yeah. So anyway, so yours is actually you connect with
past loved ones. Yep. That is my goal. Past loved ones, and provide that evidence so that you know it's truly your past loved ones.
Okay. So clarify, because I think a lot of people, so my dad's his name's Larry. Okay. So he doesn't come in. If he were to come through, he wouldn't come in and say, hi, Laura, my name's Larry.
No.
That's my daughter you're talking to. No. Okay.
Right.
So it's not that kind of conversation going on.
So I will explain that. So what I do is people ask, what do I need to do during a reading? I need your voice. That is how I'm connecting in. Your voice is a vibration.
The vibration. Okay.
Yep. And I ask my guides, my loved ones, anyone who wants to come in when I do a reading, I say, please use the person who's sitting in front of me. Once I say, they state their name. I want you to come in, share any details you wish, male or female, how you passed away, and then a memory, something that will connect you to them. And then we take it from there.
Okay. Male or female, how you passed away. That usually gives the other person a little inkling who it is.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And then they start going into some fun details. Would connect with your person.
Yes. And when I say that, spirit doesn't talk to me. So this is where we kind of get into, there's a thing called clairs, which I know we'll talk in, but clairs are the way that spirit uses to communicate with you. It could be through smell, taste. I'm a clairvoyant. I just receive downloads. I don't actually hear spirit. If spirit came in and said, hey, Jen, here's the message, I would just say it to you. Our reading would be 5 minutes long. I am literally playing Pictionary with them. Okay. So imagine playing Pictionary with your loved ones on the other side. And we know how hard Pictionary is here in human form, right? So they're showing me an apple. What does an apple mean? Is an apple because you're a teacher? Is apple because there's a significance to an apple orchard? Why are you showing me an apple? So I have to figure that out. And I kind of go back and forth with them in the messages to kind of relay that before I give that message to you.
So it's important that you don't just sit during your reading and not say a word the whole time.
Right.
And stare at you. You won't get as much because it's the conversation, the vibration.
Right. It's the vibration. I tell people, if you want to talk about something, spirit will keep going with it. If you just want to do more of a no, yes, basis of that, then spirit starts to jump around because they're trying to get something that you pertain to so they can have a conversation.
Right. So
So they show me a blue truck and you're like, I don't know what a blue truck is. Okay, now we're going to go to talk about this, a bird bath, right? So they might start to do that.
Hopping around until you say like, oh yeah, wait.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Track. Okay.
So, and I tell people, it's always messages for you. So when I connect in with you, I'm not getting in the messages for the person who came before you. I'm not getting messages tied to the house or the room that we're in.
Because it's that person's vibration.
100%.
That your loved ones are feeding off of.
Correct.
They notice you. And you can't really plan. You can't say for sure someone's going to come through.
100%.
Because I have had readings where I set the intention that I wanted to talk to my dad.
Yes.
And he's a no-show. He didn't show.
Stood you up.
Which is fine. He was a little bit busy or something. It's fine. So I understand that we don't do nothing on the other side. So he's busy. Anyway,
I always say it's when you go for a reading, set your intention, talk to the person that you wish to come in, ask them to come in, say, hey, I'm getting ready to have a reading. I'd really appreciate hearing from you. Likely it's the person we want to hear from, but there are times where spirit knows we need to hear from somebody else.
Yeah.
So we're on a healing journey. They know we're on a journey, and they just might be like, yeah, you might want to talk to dad. And most of the times dad does want to talk to you, but there's something else that we're not ready to hear. We need to hear from this other person. Maybe it's an uncle, maybe it's a mother-in-law, something along those lines.
Somebody comes through. Yeah.
Yeah. So someone will always come through, but 8 times out of 10, I would say it's a person you're hoping for. Other times it might be somebody else that comes in. And as you have readings, that can change. So I would say do a reading, once a year, once every 6 months if you like, but those people can change. It just depends on what you're going through in life and what they're feeling aligned to.
Do you feel like they're available immediately? If I had a loved one that passed away 3 days ago and I come to you and I say like, no, I need to talk to him right now.
Yeah.
Or does it seem like there's a window of like,
it's so tricky.
Nothing.
So I go around and around with this time. There's times where I say like I've known someone to pass away and I can connect in with them the next day.
Okay.
Normally it's somebody that knew they were going to pass away. So either they had a choice to cross themselves over. So they took their own life, or it's something like they were terminal with cancer, something along
like a hospice,
something where they knew it was coming. That is usually where it's immediate. Sometimes if something is sudden, I have noticed there's been a delay. And I say delay, but it just takes them time. It's not like they get stuck. People, you do not get stuck. There's no such thing of being stuck between like here or there and trying to like navigate and you're unsettled. But they are trying to process to what has happened and then also learn where they're at. It's new to them as well. So they have to learn how to communicate. Right. It's just if you were to, when you were here as a baby, you had to learn how do we handle life here? What are we supposed to do?
Which time is different on the other side than we think of it.
Correct.
Okay. And so it's
just a little bit. So I would say if it could take a little bit of time, but usually I've had people who have lost someone suddenly and I was able to connect with them very immediately. There's other times where people like, they didn't come in and I was hoping that they would. And I said, it's when they're meant to, they maybe weren't ready to come in or they weren't ready for a message. So I recently lost someone close in my family that everyone asked me every time I see them, like, has she come in for you yet? I'm like, she hasn't. And they're like, what's going on? And I'm like, it's not, she needs to connect with a lot of other people, but I'm like 6, 7, 8
You weren't
on
at
the
the top of the list.
Right. And it's okay. But when she's meant to come in, and as soon as I'm like, please start coming in for them. They're like, do you know what I mean? I want you to start coming in. Just let people know that you're okay. I know you are, but I want you to start giving them messages. And she started coming in right away, but it's not for me. She has to go down her line. She has children. I'm really a nobody.
Yeah. Or you may have someone happen. Like I've had in a couple of mine, like a couple of my good friends, their mom passed away. So she has come through to me.
Interesting. Yeah.
Probably because, and I knew her. It's not that I didn't know her. Right. I did know her. She was great. And so, but she would come through you to me.
100%.
Messages for them.
Yes. And I will say it's the reason that happens is because spirit gets excited, right?
Yeah.
So they're over there waiting for, is anyone going to connect in when this opportunity comes? When it does come, they're like, oh my goodness, this person's an open door. If I can get my message to them, they'll somehow relay it to who they need to.
I know they'll relay it to the next person.
And if that gets them closer into the seat in front of me. So I always tell people like, can we just go ahead and get this reading for this person? And will you be able to do it? And I said, I can, but it really should be on their own terms. Like it's always nice to gift a reading, but they should want to sit here. And when you share that story, they're likely going to be like, okay, thank you. I appreciate the story. I'm good. Yeah. Or they're going to be like, okay, I'm really interested in this session. So spirit knows that. So they will use you as a vessel to kind of get their message in a reading.
Because if you gift a reading to someone and they're not on board with any of this, I mean, it's not going to go well.
I've had a couple of them. It's not easy. It's because again, people feel obligated. I would just say, if you want to gift a reading, make sure the person's open to it. Make sure there's, first of all, open up to the other side. Second of all, make sure that they're open to it. Like they believe that it can be possible, because what can happen is they sit there and all it is they're like, I don't believe this. This is silly.
Just blocking it all anyway.
It's like reading a block of cement. For me. So like, I'm still going to get stuff in, but it's very much delayed. It's hard no matter what I say. They're not going to own it.
Spot on.
It's not going to be, it's going to be tricky. So even if it was spot on, they're not ready to mentally they're not going to hear it anyway. They're not going to hear it anyway. So I say, like, if you want to give someone it, maybe not a surprise attack.
Yeah.
Let them know ahead of time. Hey, is this something you'd be open to? I'd really like to gift you a session and see what they say about that. That would be my
because that would be a little bit weird to hand someone like, I know you lost a loved one recently. I got you this gift card to go talk to him. Like that. No.
It took me, I will say I lost my dad 10 years ago. It took me 3 or 4 years. It was about 3.5 years before I actually connected with him, because I had to do some processing and healing. And we think we want to hear all of that. We do. But sometimes we have to kind of deal with our grieving too, because we're not there yet. And we go through different stages of grieving. So
for sure,
you'll know when you're ready for a reading. You will. And if it's gifted to you, I always tell people you have time to use it. it. So if you get a gift, you're like, hey, I don't know if I'm ready for this yet. Just let me know. Let the person that you got the reading through if there's a gift, let them know. They're going to work with you. We want you to be ready.
At some point, they'll be ready.
They will be.
Because when we know we're ready for that, we're going to go seek out people anyway.
100%.
When it comes time.
Yes.
Legitimate person, hopefully.
Legitimate. And I say the best way to find a legitimate spiritual medium or a psychic or anyone that you're going to listen to referrals. Referrals are the best way to hear about it because you want to hear about someone else's experience. So I always say after my readings, I'll ask people, if you want to write a review, people hear it best from how you do it. And that is how a lot of us as healers work is by referrals. That's referral based. It's the best compliment we can get over a tip, anything of that nature. I always tell people, share your story, share your experience.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just really special that way.
Yes.
So, yeah. But yeah, don't do the 1-800-CLEOs.
No.
And you can if you need, if that's your calling too. Just be mindful. Be mindful too of people seeking you out. There's a lot of people I have outreach to me like, hey, I don't know if you've had this happen on you on social media, but they're like, this person outreached me and said that they have a message for me and that they really need to deliver it. And this person's coming in. Or I was walking through a parking lot and they stopped me. And, everyone practices differently. I'm not here to say what you're doing is right or wrong. Yeah. But what I will say is that my connection with spirit, or the way that I have learned over the last several years, is that you should never deliver a message unless the message is meant to be delivered and they're actually given you consent to give that message.
Yeah, that's just being polite and
right. And you wouldn't. I share the story and I share this in my classes. But if you're in a grocery store and you have a spirit coming through to give you a message, you're not just going to go walk over to some woman and say, "Hey, I have your son here and he really misses you." First of all, she's never given you the consent to give that message. And as healing as you may think it is, she could be on a brink of depression or in a very
you just push her over the edge.
And you just push her over the edge. So it's really not worth it. You're not here. That is your ego that you're trying to feed. You might think that it's healing, but that's ego that you're trying to like, oh, I have a message here. I'm going to go deliver it. If she is meant to find her way to you, I promise you, or he or whoever you're getting that message for, they will find a way to sit in front of you.
Okay. So someone has come to you. They're asking for this. Okay. I bet there's some really like challenging messages though, because if you're feeling like some negative energy or there's a negative heavy message.
Yes.
But they've come to you. So they've given you consent.
Yeah.
But what do? Do you still have to discern what's helpful and not?
Correct.
Like, do you filter then?
I do filter a little bit. I try my best. So I will say I've had people come to me and they've lost a child and they feel that the accident, the passing was accidental. Okay. I have spirit telling me very different story. They are, they don't lie. Spirit's not here to lie. They will own whatever they have done. They are in the highest best light when they do pass on. So I think they dealt with here, they've let go of, but I have spirit coming through and telling me like, no, I took my own life. That's a really hard message to deliver to a mother who is grieving and feels that her child is not here because of an accident. Right. It is not my job to tell her, no, your son is owning that he took his own life. I am going to say, I have your son here. He lets me know that I'll maybe say like there's some connection around him owning his passing. And they'll be like, oh yeah, well, he dabbled in drugs a little bit. I'm like, okay, wonderful. Right. We leave it at that. I am not going to sit here and say, well, I see a noose or I see a gun. There's certain things like that. You leave those details out. Well, it might be very helpful to some, or people might think that's helpful. That to me is crossing a line of just, I want the person to leave feeling better than when they arrived. Yes. Versus.
And probably if that person had in the back of their mind, they wondered.
Yes.
They would say to you, can you tell me? They would open that up probably if they had doubts already. Yes. Okay. So there's that kind of a thing about taking your own life. But what about something that comes through and like you're getting a real vibe that like a relative is telling you to tell them like you need to divorce your husband.
Yeah.
So, but you can't just look at someone you just met and say, okay, spirit says you need to leave your husband.
Right.
No, you can't say that.
You can't. I mean, people might choose to, but again, that's not my job. So I'll just be like, hey, I'm getting a message that we need to talk about your relationship. I can instantly tell right there, like the spirit's coming through. They want to talk about your marriage. Yeah. And they'll be like, okay.
Yeah, then you could tell like, what
so I'm going to give you the message. I will never tell. So I always tell everyone, it is your decision on what you choose to make. I'm not here. Spirit's not here to tell you. We're just here to support you. So I will give you the message I'm feeling. I'm feeling some infidelity. I'm feeling like you have a wandering eye. I am feeling, Spirit's letting me know that there might be some things going on. A lot of messages I'm getting lately is that people are having issues in their marriage because they're addicted to technology, right? We're scrolling in rooms. We're in rooms and we're like
that, like, we need to work on our communication,
because people just text all day long. Text. So spirit will come through with that. So I deliver it that way, but I am never going to say,
oh, there feels like there's a disconnect or something like that. Okay.
And truthfully, I haven't had spirit come through to me and say, I mean, normally if it's like a husband or wife going through them, I don't have spirit coming through to me and saying like, hey, tell her that her husband's cheating on her. That just to me is not that. There just might be something going on or there's some disconnect. So I'll just encourage, like, I hope you guys can reconnect. I would encourage you guys to take some time for yourself, things of that nature. So the only time I've had that happen, which was I used to go out to bars when I was going bars, and I'd sit there and I'd have like all the spirits coming in, like the person 3 people to your right needs to go home to his wife and his new baby.
Oh God.
So like that would be the stuff. And I'm like, guys, I cannot do this right now. But I was sitting in a bar and I wanted to go up to every person and be like, you need to go home to your person, and your wife thinks that
what
you're
are you doing
at work,
here?
and where's your wedding ring? Because it's not on there. Bars for me, I don't know how to say it, but like that's
bars.
just, it's tricky.
Bars, airports, all the places with lots of people.
No,
that's too much.
It's tricky. So again, I just choose I try again setting boundaries, saying, hey, when I'm going out to dinner, I'm going out to dinner. But there are still stuff that, comes in, and my husband will be like, you feel like you're not even here. Like, I feel like you're so distracted. I'm like,
you're like, well, they won't stop talking to me.
I just get some cool conversations, and I sometimes like it.
Okay, so you're connecting with loved ones that have passed.
Yes.
Could be immediate family, could be friend, could be great-great-grandpa you never met, but they're watching over us.
Always.
So they may have some things to say.
Always. We always have someone. There's no chance that you have nobody around you. And I will tell you, I have a lot of people who even I do readings and they've been adopted, or something along those lines. And those, they might not know that family because they're adopted, but they will still come in and give messages. So
like their biological
100%. Those are people that are with you.
Yeah.
They're always with you. So there's never been sometimes someone sat in front of me and I'm like, I got nothing. You got nobody. Nobody came. You always, always, always have somebody around you. More than one. You have multiples around you.
If you're open to it. And this is why you can do remote readings too, because it's just the vibration of their voice.
Just the vibration. I can do phone, FaceTime, Zoom. I've done it all the way across the states. I've done it across countries.
Yeah.
All I need is a voice.
So as long as you can hear their voice and connect with them.
Correct.
You're good.
I'm good.
Okay.
100%.
All right. So then they come in and they say, I'm a female. I had a heart attack or whatever. They would just show you like a heaviness in a chest.
Yes, I feel it normally. So heart attack, I can feel.
Yeah.
If it's a father, I've lost my father. So they will show me a picture of my father. That's how I just know. I feel like dad. This is dad, stepdad, something along those lines. Father figure, contemporary dad. Yes.
Yes.
And then I get the feeling of how they passed away. The tricky one I will say is a lot of times it will be like it's throughout my body. So normally throughout my body would either be a circulation problem. So they had something with blood circulation, or it's cancer. So their whole body will light up because cancer, obviously goes throughout. What I do share with people is that we always think we know how someone passed away. Okay, your spirit's never here to lie to us, but there's sometimes underlying conditions that were never developed. So they didn't talk about it. So they might have passed away from a heart attack, and lo and behold, they also had cancer in their liver or something along those lines. Yeah. We're not here to tell them no. They're here to share this with us. We always take, they're here to share. They're here to care. They're here to give that. Just know that it's not always what we see on the death certificate or that we have been told. So just know that usually that's a part of it, but there could be other things too. Don't discredit that when spirit comes through with it.
Yeah. Okay. There are low-level spirits, probably lower than you even. They're not even at a frequency that they can get to you.
I've never connected. Like I said, I believe that everyone operates at an energy level or operates at a frequency. Everyone I've connected in with would be someone that when I meditate, I raise my vibration. So, and then when you're in the spirit world on the other side, another dimension, what I believe is that you just operate at a very high frequency. So what they do is when I meditate and call them in, they have to lower their vibration a little bit.
And you've got to raise yours just so you can.
So we can meet in that medium part, like the middle medium part.
Yes.
So that's how that works. I am sure there are low operation vibrations out there. I am sure but I've never connected with them because for me, I believe that no matter what happened in this world, this is again my belief, no matter what you did in this world, how heinous it was, or if you lived a troubled life, when you leave this world, you return to the best version of yourself. So you return to a high vibration. So I've connected in with people who've done all sorts of things.
Right. So just because they were like maybe kind of a terrible person here on earth, or that's how we judge them as a terrible person.
Good. Yes.
They may... You're just returning back to God's love.
God's love. The highest, purest white light that you can be.
You're good. Like when you've spoken with the different spirits, like they own up to what they did.
They do own up. They will definitely own up. I will tell you, spirit doesn't really come in and apologize for what they've done. That's one thing I think people go for readings because they want to hear, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I, overdosed. I'm sorry that I took my own life. I'm sorry that I cheated on your mom and had another illicit child. I'm
sorry I was an alcoholic and treated you like that.
Right. I'm sorry. Whatever I did, I'm sorry that there might be some signs of I'm sorry for the way you had to be raised as a child. Some things lighter like that, but they're not apologizing for what their life was. They are usually
No,
owning
because-
that because that's who they were.
And they probably know now that they're back on the other side in God's love. They know like that those things were supposed to happen
100%.
and it was supposed to affect people the way it did.
Yes.
And so they're not really sorry for it because that was kind of a plan.
Yes.
Right.
And it
They may
changed
be remorseful for like how it affected you.
Right.
But
There's
not that it happened.
No, and
Okay.
it does. We always learn from that. So I would tell people, if you had a really rough childhood and you have someone coming in from the other side apologizing for that, or not apologizing, but owning that, just know that you broke that cycle. So you might have been abused as a child. When you became a parent, you less likely were to abuse a child because that's what you came from. We change as we go on in generations. So there's an appreciation there, or they will own what they did, but it's not necessarily like, I'm sorry, I hope you forgive me. That's usually not the message.
Yeah, you're
that
not going to hear that if you want.
No. So that's one thing I always tell people. You might get that. I'm just not the person.
But just someone owning up to something is healing in itself too.
Right. It's just, it's your mindset and it's meant to be there. So
because you're in your belief system, there's nobody in hell.
That is correct.
Okay.
And I know that can be, I know
it's
that
tricky.
It can be tricky.
Yeah.
And I've went around in this. At first I believed in I forget what they call it, the like 7 levels of hell they used to have.
There's a lower level and
based on what you did is what level you're in. But then I started connecting with people and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. They did. It doesn't make sense. Like this doesn't make sense. So I believe that I've kind of altered my thoughts a little bit on that, but I truly don't believe that there is a hell. I will say I believe that hell is what we are in right now. Like this is, and I know it's hard to hear, but this is as bad as it gets with judgment, with politics, with people.
So being, and being human is the challenge.
100. This is where we are learning to figure things out. This is where we learn to.
The stuff's going down.
Yes. So when you leave here, you're good. You are golden. I cannot wait.
No,
listen, I love what I'm hearing. I'm so honored. But I just tell people I cannot wait to get to that other side.
Sometimes I see
beautiful.
the same thing. I've said the same thing. I mean, I'm in no hurry to die.
No.
Like I'm good. But
even though your podcast is called Halfway to Dead.
Yeah, halfway, not dead. No.
Maybe I should have a podcast dead. Like, no.
Yeah,
but literally,
dead.
I cannot. You're never dead. You're never dead.
No,
like, really, it's so cool.
Energy. We just continue on and on.
Yes.
And so, but I've said the same thing. Like, no, I don't want to die. That sounds weird. But I'm totally okay dying.
I'm totally okay dying.
Like I only feel remorse for because I know the pain it would cause others
100%
around me.
They just got to find a good medium. That's what my husband. Like if I die,
I'm good to go.
Yeah, I'll have a list of mediums that you can connect with, and you just bring my kids to them, and just know that.
Because what part of returning to God's love sounds bad? None of it.
And leaving behind every ailment you have. So people who had a limb that didn't work, or a heart that misfunctioned, or cancer throughout their body, or anything like that, you've left all that behind. So it's just really beautiful. So
it is beautiful. And it's hard to think of death as beautiful, especially when it affects you closely.
Right.
You've got that period of time where it just sucks.
And we are one of the only cultures. If you look at different cultures.
No, it's celebration everywhere.
It's celebration. America are the only, we are the only ones that sit here and dwell on death. The only ones that do funerals the way we do it. If you look in other cultures, it's really beautiful on how they do the
celebration.
Yes. Parents don't bury their children. They stay at home. Everyone else buries the child. And then they come and celebrate the parent in the home, that they've passed on. It's just, I read a book and they talked about how in the Indian culture, they're one of the happiest Indian culture is.
Yeah.
And the reason is because they always think of death as 200 yards in front of you. If you were to die right now and you weren't happy with what you were doing, you're doing it wrong. You shouldn't have regrets. So you should always think of death 200 yards in front of you. So you're just living that moment right there. You could die.
It's coming. It's coming. And so how are you going to live today?
Unfortunately, we don't do that though. We are always opposite. I mean, even to go get a will done or anything like that, trust, people are like, oh my gosh, we can't talk about that. I'm like, no, you really should talk about that. You should really get that stuff done because it can happen. And now you've just set it up for a little bit easier for the people who are here having to navigate. And it's not a burden. So.
Because I've told my husband and kids, lots of people, here's the plan. Don't you dare have me laying there looking all whatever for the whole world to come visit.
Okay.
I'm like, please, that sounds like a nightmare. Don't do that.
Don't do
want how I looked alive to be the last thing you see.
Right. Celebrate you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I also don't want to be put in the ground and I don't have a fear of being in the ground because I know I'm not even in that body. I don't even care. I just think, why take up more of the earth?
I agree. Yeah.
Okay. So then somebody suggested to me once, you can get planted like a tree, in a tree. But then, and I was like, that sounds cool, except if that tree dies, I have now traumatized my whole family again.
That's a really good point. Okay. Fair.
You don't want to watch something die twice.
No.
So then I was like, no. And so then I found this online. And so this is what I'm doing. So I'm going to be made into diamonds.
Yes.
So you can send your ashes. This is real, everybody. You can send your ashes and you can get made in. Basically, you know how there's lab grown diamonds? Mm-hmm. Okay. So they're just speeding up the process of the old carbon and everything else. And they're making you into a diamond.
Oh, beautiful.
So I'm handing out we're going to hand out diamonds to everybody. If you want, get on the list if you want one.
I'm going to hold your husband.
You're going to get a diamond. Everybody who wants a little piece. I'm going to try and bulk up so there's plenty of ashes, you guys. But
there's actually a lot of ashes with the body, so I think you'll be good.
I think we're good.
I think we're good.
And so because I figure 500 years from now, I don't know what's going to be going on with all these decaying, everything, but people aren't throwing away the diamonds.
No. Hopefully they're not trying to pawn you. I wonder what that would be. Like I'm looking at it and it's like, well,
I don't even care.
Body.
You can pawn me because I feel like I'm going to be going on adventures with lots of different people for forever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
No, because you don't throw the diamonds away.
Someone actually told me this in a reading, which I think I'm going to share this. And I won't share names because I'm going to be confidential, but I just did this reading recently. And the mom came in and shared that they took a part of, their science background. Mm-hmm. They took a part of the cremation parts, put it under a microscope because she wanted the doctor to look at it and see what it was. And it looked like the galaxy. It was stardust, which I believe is what happens. We start as stardust. Ooh. We do all these lifetimes and you go back to, after you get to your level 10 is like, again, this is my mindset, what I believed after all the readings I've done. After you get to a level 10, you go back to stardust. And when you look at a cremated body in this microscope, when you look at it and you break it all down, it literally looks like stars, like the galaxy, which I just thought was really beautiful.
There's just some sparkle in there.
Yeah. So I'm really curious. I want to see this.
Now I want to check it out.
Yeah.
I hate to open my dad's little box out there, but
I think he'd be okay with it.
It might be cool.
It'd be really cool.
Well, because you can send ashes to be made into anything. They can trap them into a really cool, like crystal, you know what I mean?
There's
art.
So many things.
You can turn into artwork, or 100%. Whatever.
And I will tell you, no matter what you decide to do, when you get to spirit, you won't even care. Even if they put your body out, nobody cares.
That's the thing. I'm not actually going to care.
No, I get little compliments, like they'll say, "Thank you for making sure you fixed my hair," or "Thank you for the way you had my nails." And like they will compliment on their bodies as they presented themselves, but they really don't care. It's truly, it's all for us.
Yeah, I'm not going to care. I just think it'll be cool for like other people.
Yeah. So what about trying for reading tonight? Like today, while we're doing our session, are you open to that?
You can read me anytime you want.
So I'll kind of explain what I do. So what I do is I connect in with your voice. So what I will do is kind of just close my eyes. I do like a little prayer before we do it. So I'll keep that to myself. It'll be quiet for a moment. And then I'm just going to pull in and see what we get. So if you're open to that, I think that'd be really, really special.
See who's here.
Because I think people can get a really good understanding.
Let's see who's here. Maybe they have a message.
Yes. All right. Give me 1 second. Okay. We've talked enough, so I don't even need you to say your name. I'm just going to kind of tune in here and see what's coming in. So hold on 1 second.
So it's a podcast. So just so you know, when you sit with Laura, she's got like a notepad and a pen, and she's writing down like words or whatever's coming to her. And she's writing. And she lets you keep it at the end. She tears the paper off and gives it to you.
I call them spirit scribbles, which is really fun.
Spirit scribbles. Yes. Yeah. I have some spirit scribbles from other readings.
Let it in here. Okay. Hold on. And I'll talk to myself. Sorry, voice be heard.
So really right now, she's just talking to them. Whoever's coming through, she's frantically writing. This ought to be good. No, I'm just kidding.
It's funny because you said who doesn't come in is who's coming in, which I'm really excited about this. So,
oh my gosh, is my dad here?
Yeah. So he's okay.
I love it when he comes through.
I have a male spirit coming in. He keeps talking about the month of November being significant. So November is very significant, which is right around Thanksgiving. So he just circles November. So wherever that connection comes in at.
November. Okay.
And he shows a heart. There's a heart issue, but I also have some pain in my stomach, which is really unique. So he shows heart being a part of it, and then stomach. Does that make sense to you, Jen? Does that make sense for his passing?
Yeah. So he had a heart attack, but he didn't die from that heart attack. But then when he did pass, he had a stroke, and he couldn't be treated for it because he had a bleed in his stomach.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that makes sense. Okay, perfect. So that's that evidence. Again,
so that's what happened. Yeah.
I say perfect. Just know that this is how.
Oh, no, perfect. No, not perfect. Like that he had bleeding. Yeah. No.
He said that he loves this, like hearing you talk. Like this is what you are doing right now is your jam, because this is a part of your healing. Like this talking to people.
Absolutely.
You love to learn. He keeps showing me looking in a mirror, and I'm looking in this mirror, but it doesn't look like me. And I don't know how to explain what he's showing me, but I'm literally like looking in a mirror, almost like, you know how they show on Shrek, like the mirror on the wall, and you're like, what is that? You know what I mean? Like a mirror on the wall. Who am I? That is what he keeps showing me, a synopsis with this. And I will tell you, Jen is very, Jen's had readings. Jen's very in depth. Sometimes when we are really in depth with spirit, or they know that we can handle it, the messages come in like this.
Yeah.
He is literally giving me this message of like looking in a mirror and it not feeling like me. And this is Dad that's telling me this. Like, I don't look like me. I don't feel like me. It's like I'm looking at a person, but I don't know who they are. That's what he's feeling like, or that's how I'm feeling. I need to talk about that symbolism with it.
Okay. So he's looking in the mirror.
He's looking in the mirror. It doesn't feel like him. I don't know who I am. I don't know who's in this body. It just doesn't feel like who I am or who I expect it to be.
So my dad was incredibly uber religious. So all of this would not have gone well.
Until they're here. And then they're like,
until now, because now he knows all the things.
All the things.
Yes. He knows everything.
I don't know. And I will say he talks about liking this path more. I feel almost like you went, and I'm not saying a dark path, but I almost feel like you went a different way with it, or we're looking into spiritualism in a different way. And I always say it's like, I don't know if it was more of like did you ever do like a Ouija board or anything of that nature? Does that make any sense? Or a different type of energy work where it was maybe heavier or trying to figure answers out. He says this is more like enlightening because you're learning or you're adapting to like, this works for me. This is healing. Because I feel like I went on a path and I felt kind of icky afterwards, or things felt very heavy when I was working through them. And he didn't love that part for you. He's like, that's not.
So the heaviness that I had to work through is probably because I had to untangle the religious stuff that got put in.
Okay.
So one of my biggest blocks was religion and how to make everything feel balanced.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there is that certain amount of like guilt because, okay, I know my dad was like very, very religious and believed this and this, right? And my beliefs have changed and grown and evolved. I still believe in a lot of the core stuff he taught me, right? Yeah. That's not that I just ditched it all. But there's definitely been like a lot of opening and changes. And so I could imagine if he was looking at himself in the mirror as the highly religious man he was, with the knowledge he has now, being on the other side, that he's like, okay, like that, those don't match.
They don't match. That doesn't work. Okay, so you live on water. Mm-hmm. What is he talking about with water changes, or there's no water back there? What's going on? Is there a water flow system I don't know how to say it, but I know it's natural, but he's talking about the water flow is different, or things are not the same in the backyard. I don't know if there's like reduced water or the water's going a different way. Does that make any?
Yeah. So this actually is just like, we figured this out last night. So our sprinkler system for our whole yard, we're on 3 acres, we use the river water. We don't use like city water. We use the water from the river.
Okay.
And so it's broken. We have no water. There's no water aflowing.
It's reduced, or it's not flowing, or it's going a different way.
It's not flowing right. In fact, like someone maybe is supposed to come this afternoon to help me figure that out, because we got no water flow into the yard.
And I will just, like I said, whatever, it's almost internal. Like it's not like this, it's something where the sprinkler system, what you're talking about, it's like in the earth. So just know, like, it's not a surface level of like a sprinkler head. It's definitely something
great.
Like, I know,
cool.
sorry, it's costing some extra money. So great.
Thanks, Dad. Thank you, Dad. Appreciate that. Can you just go fix it for me, bud?
Yeah. So they don't do that. Like I wish they did. Like, no. They come and let us know their support. They're listening. They're hearing stuff. They're seeing stuff.
Okay, but maybe he can pass it on to like my angels and my people.
You could just manifest it. Like, I need you to manifest and fix this. And like,
let's fix this.
Have a root come fix it. So it's fun things like this. Like I said, it's just it's his part of coming in.
And like you said before, a lot of times you do like a body scan.
Yes, I do a body scan.
So that's basic. And you're not trying to like give medical advice.
Never give medical advice. No. I will just let you know what I'm feeling. So like I've had people come in just say like, hey, have your breast scan done. There's not something wrong, but there might be just a tissue that we need to look at. That's something. I've had plantar fasciitis come in, knee pain, hips being off. I've had people that were like they were walking a little bit off and like a leg had to be adjusted. Almost like a leg was a little bit shorter than the other one. It's chiropractic work, right? It's just some sort of a pain reliever there.
I had that. I had one leg longer than the other.
Yeah, I knew it was one that I remember.
And there was longer than the other.
See?
And then here's just a stupid one. This really doesn't even, but it still came through. So whatever. But you had told me like, I don't know, but something about my hair. You're like, something with your hair. Did you change products? Is something like, they just keep showing me like something's wrong. You're doing something wrong with your hair. Okay. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that is. So then the next day I'm talking to my daughter who was living here at the time. And I said, yeah, I don't know. I didn't even tell her that you told me anything about hair. And she asked me, she was like, how often are you using your purple shampoo? And I was like, every time. And she was like, oh my God, Mom, that's why your hair like so dry. Like, She was like, you're only supposed to use the purple shampoo like once in a while, every few washes. I said, no, that's all I use. Purple shampoo, purple. I said, okay, so I'm not supposed to be doing that. And she's like, no, you need regular shampoo.
Yeah.
And you just add the purple in every once in a while.
Right.
She's like, otherwise it damages your hair. And I was like, good to know.
Good to
I was
know.
like, okay, well, that's two of you now who told me about my hair.
When was your first reading, or what made you decide to go for a first reading? Do you want to share all that
So
stuff?
my first reading, so what happened was, like, I was just at a point in my life where, like, I knew I was ready for some changes. Okay. So a friend had told me about you, but at the time you had a baby and you were not doing any readings. Okay. She's like, she's not doing any readings. It takes too much energy. She's got a newborn. She's not doing it. And I was like, okay, well, tell me when she does it again.
Right.
So then you got back in action and she said, oh, she's back. And I said, okay, well, I'm booking. So I came out and actually did it in your backyard. That was our first one, was out in your backyard.
Yes.
So, and I was ready because I hadn't done any like mediums or anything since I was like in my 20s. And one medium, like, she kind of freaked me out. Okay. So I got scared off because she was, And so, I mean, to the point that this woman in my 20s, early 20s said, like, don't get pregnant under this moon and blah, 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 or your baby will die. It was crazy. And so what happened was I found out a week after that I was pregnant.
And your baby made it, didn't they?
Of course he did. Yeah. But I was freaked out for the next 9 freaking months. I even made my doctor, who is a friend of mine, my primary care, show up at 2 a.m. I was like, just be there. Can you just be there on site? And he did. He was sweet. He came, and I didn't believe in any of this, but I believed enough to be nervous about this.
Yes.
And he's fine. Yeah, everything worked out fine, but it freaked me out.
It does. And that's the hard part is I get sad when I hear that. I had a friend of mine who just went and got Akashic Records done. And she's like, you know, they told me that my third eye is basically, I'm not going to open up my third eye until I let go of my healing that I'm doing with some stepchildren of mine, as well as something else in my life. And until that fixes, my third eye is closed. I'm like, that's a bunch of malarkey. So that's not true. Like there is some work to do, but Spirit's never going to hold you back and not allow your third eye to open up. Or when people share messages of that doesn't bring you any. I might have just been telling her though, like, you've got some more you got some more work to do, right? If you want that to open, right? You got to do the work, but it's the way you word things, right? It's the way you word things. It's just when they tell you it holds you back or you feel defeated afterwards, that's not a beneficial reading. I want you to feel like you are in the highest and best version after you did. Like you should feel better. You just paid for something. Yes. So I always have a hard time if you find any spiritual healers, and if you leave and you feel icky or you feel off. Find someone different. Yeah, please don't go with that. So, no. So that I get and it came back to you, and I had and I was open, but not as open as I am now, but really wanting to start the journey, I guess. And so, and I had that first time I had, like I said, my friend's mom had come through, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, all your in-laws. Yeah. We're coming through with messages, and they all totally matched up because even some of the stuff my mother-in-law said, no one would have known. And then after that, and Laura's going to come back for another episode just on tapping into our intuition. So I will say though, I'll just say after the reading and that, then I ended up signing up for a class with Laura. This was summer and it was starting later in the fall or something. Okay. And so between that time, I started figuring things out, the podcasts and the books and the just researching stuff before I even got to the class. Because now all of a sudden I felt like I had to prep for class or something. So that really kind of kickstarted the whole spiritual journey, the hardcore last couple years that I've gone through is some of that. So that's kind of where I ended up at it. Because I just found out from a friend, and that's usually about right. That's how it is. That's usually how it is. People always ask, how'd you hear about me? Because I always think it's beautiful, but I don't really advertise. I do post stuff on my Facebook or my Instagram, but people usually find me from another way. It's usually, and that's usually how I find whatever practitioner or whatever reading I get. Because I'll get readings from other people who do, maybe they connect with channel angels or something different, or just giving you guides. Like if I hear them on a podcast and that resonates with me, it feels like, ooh, I kind of like her, whatever, then I might book with that person. Good. But there's also a bunch of times when I read a book or listen to podcasts, and I'm like, oh no, that person doesn't feel right for me at all. And that's why I tell people all the time, you're going to find your people, and people come to you because of your vibration. You're going to align with your people, but some people might come to me for a reading and be like, okay, no, I want to go to somebody else. And that's okay. There's plenty out there. It's just it's how your vibe attracts your tribe, right? You're going to vibe with certain people. Yes. Connected. Yeah. So when you start clearing out low vibration things and people
from your life, then you have room for all of this.
100%. 100%.
You have room to figure the things out.
Yes.
Yes. So
Agreed.
that's where I'm at. And so the other thing we were talking about, how you said you don't believe in hell and blah, blah, blah. So did you have a strict religious upbringing? No.
No. So my father was actually raised Catholic. Like he went to Catholic and parochial school. It shares his personality. And my mom was Roman Catholic, but they both never pushed me to do anything. As a child growing up, I would just go to wherever the fun vacation Bible schools were and go where the fun, things were. So I went to many different, I went to Catholic, I've went to Lutheran, Baptist. I've kind of done a little bit of dabbling in everything.
So now that you're an adult with your own children and everything else, what's your plan?
Yeah, that's tricky. So I had a plan. We were going to a church. I went church shopping because I told my husband, I'm getting back into religion. I just want our kids to know that God exists. The universe, something of higher level. I just want them to understand it from a young age. So they both go to private school. My son goes to private school where he gets that a little bit of learning done. I went church shopping. My husband is raised and born Catholic. He's like, I'm done. I'm tapped out. I'm not going back to church. I'm like, okay, fair enough. It's not here to, we're not here to force people. I don't want you to be a part of it if you don't want to be it. Right. So I started going to a local church that I enjoyed. That was a Christian-based church. And it was really going well. My husband decided to join me because I would talk about it. And I was like, well, come join it if you want to see what it's all about.
Come check it out.
Really enjoyed it. I will say, unfortunately, I really think that everyone's like always accepted. And as soon as someone got wind, I'm sure on my social media or something I shared that I was a spiritual medium or an evidential medium, however you want to look at it, I felt a shift really quickly when I went to that church. So I'm having a really hard time. I've kind of just decided, I think I'm at the part where I have to just know that what I'm raising my children around is that there is something out, there's source, there's love, there's light, there's God, there's a universe, but I'm no longer going to fall into this where I have to go on a Sunday. I am just going to know that my prayer and my religion is just being around the people that I'm around, what I'm teaching my children. But I think it's far more than what I can get on a weekly basis. You know what I mean? Like of going to it, like I really felt aligned to that and I really enjoyed it. But I also, when I walk in and my husband's like, they know. Like that's what he said. He's like, they know. Someone knows something because it just shifted that drastically. Because
we're not supposed to be judging, but boy, are they judging up in the churches sometimes.
They do. I said, everyone says they don't judge, but let me tell you, I was volunteering my time. Everything was going great. Yes. As soon as
I thought so, because I remembered. Yeah. And I was curious, like how you balanced that.
It was
because some of the beliefs in the church you were going to don't line up.
They don't. Okay. And that's what I say. I think there's never going to be a perfect fit. I always say it's like a husband and a soulmate. People are like, oh, there's a soulmate out there that's going to be your perfect fit. I don't necessarily believe that there's someone that's perfect. There's someone that is meant for you, yes. But you're not going to always, you and your husband are different.
It's not going to be perfect.
It's not going to be perfect. No. So I said, like, if I go to a church and they say stuff, I'm like, I believe 50% or 60%. Right. That's enough for me because I still think there's a benefit. I just shift some of the words. Yeah. And so that's my belief.
It might be better anyway for your kids because they won't have all of these judgments and thoughts already in their head. They can just judge people for who they are.
And the religion that goes with this is spiritualism, which, I mean, spiritualism, if you look up that, it's hard. There's only, I think, 2 spiritualism churches around Illinois that I know of. I mean, they're like an hour and a half away. Yeah. I've not attended one yet, but that is basically where spiritualism is, that you believe that life goes on. You believe in another side, connecting, sorts of that. So there is spiritualism, but it's just a very hard practice to find churches that support that. So I just think it's about what you choose to bring up as long as you talk about it. It's just not so black or white.
And you don't have to just, if you're starting on a spiritual journey or awakening, you're starting to, these things are resonating with you. That doesn't mean you have to ditch all your beliefs and the church you're at necessarily. Right. You may get to that point at some point when something doesn't line up properly.
We outgrow it, and that's okay. It's all a part of growth. You outgrow people. And that's what I say. I've outgrown a lot of things. And that's the hard part of this is that, people find out, maybe that you are a medium or they have a hard time with it. Those who love you for who you are always going to be there. Those who don't, they're going to pass on. So I've lost, not lost, but I've left behind friends. I've left behind, coworkers. I've left behind churches. That's okay. Groups, people who are meant to know who you are or care who you are aren't going to care about the details of what you do, or, they just know that you're acting the way that you believe and they trust that. And I tell people, no matter what your religion is, if you sit here and think this is a bunch of stuff that you don't believe in, when the time comes and you want to connect, that's going to be your time that you believe, because you'll find a medium, you'll seek out a reading, and you'll be like, okay,
it'll hit you here. And I've talked with other guests too about a lot of times what sparks into a spiritual journey or awakening is a health event, a divorce, loss of a loved one. There's something where you stop and you go, I got to figure some things out. Like, this isn't great. Right. And so, and with religion, so you talked about spirituality. So for me, spirituality is me in control of my own relationship with God, my angels, all the things.
Yes.
Religion for me was always like rules. There's a dogma, here's what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's just all based on interpretation, one human's interpretation of another.
Right.
And I mean, we've transcribed things in 10 different languages. Things have gotten lost.
Very much so. And everyone has their own spin. It's like news.
And everybody,
story.
And politics, everything else. You're going to grab it. You're going to spin it to what works for you.
Right.
And makes you, the higher do right person.
Mm-hmm. And then you sort of cast judgment on everybody else who isn't doing that.
Because my favorite thing is always the highly religious people who are a whole different person on Sunday than they are Monday through Saturday. Mm-hmm. I like people who are the same person every day I meet them.
Me too. I mean, you can have an off day, but you should be the same.
No, I mean in general. Right. Don't be all holier than thou with me on Sunday.
Yep.
And the rest of the week, you're just a jerk.
Right. And that's what I believe in. Like, I believe in multiple, but I believe in Buddhism, right? Like, the biggest thing is do to others as you wish to be done.
Yes.
If you can live by that simple rule, you're golden. I mean, if you really do to others as you wish to be done. So if you want people to treat you nicely, treat people nicely.
Yeah.
If you want to, be a giver, be a receiver. Like, there's just different things. If you have to give to give. There's just so many things that it's the golden rule. It's just treat others as you wish to be treated.
Just do things. I mean,
it's not.
If you do the best you can your entire life. And you're trying to do no harm, God's good.
You're good. And I'll tell you, I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. We've done things that, probably shouldn't have done that, but you learn from it.
Oh,
if you
sure.
can look back and say okay, if you can own things that you're not right, you're not always the right person and everything, there's a benefit there. It's just when we get in this whole mindset of you have to do this, or you have to do that, or follow these rules.
And I just got sick of all the condemning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and judging.
And it's not even like everyone's on board with the same thing. Amongst Christianity, all the different churches are fighting with each other about who's right.
And I always laugh because
it's like, what's going on? Why are you all arguing?
Whatever your religion is, that's fine. Just don't judge someone until you know what they're going through. So I always say, don't judge what I do, or don't judge,
Right. And it's right there in plain writing in all of the spiritual scripts from every religion. You're not here to judge others. You worry about your path and what you're supposed to be learning, and cut it out. Cut it out.
Yeah, cut out.
Leave people alone.
Right.
All these people aren't burning in the depths of hell. What's wrong with you?
There'd be nobody here if we followed the rules. How many people are there that are just acting 100% pure, kind? I mean, all the time good. I mean, we all do. There's deception.
None of us are doing it.
No. So no offense, but you're going to all be up. Whoever those 3 people are that show up all holy and thou, you're going to be by yourself
at the gates and make it through. No, we're all getting through.
Here's the big bonus of the podcast. You all are going to heaven. So just keep doing what you're doing. Right? Do what you're doing. Try to act in the best ways to make the life here easiest as possible. Right?
Right. And grow and learn, and let everybody else grow and learn what they're here to grow and learn. And stop your judging.
Stop your judging. Stop it.
Yes.
So,
I know so many good people from other religions or no religion, and they're way more amazing than a lot of these Christian people.
Right.
At these mega churches. Listen, they got some splaining to do, is my opinion.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Just they have messed a few things up.
Yeah.
And God's looking down going, what are you doing?
Right.
That is not what I said.
Yeah.
That is not what I meant.
And it's always my honor when someone comes for a reading and they'll tell me about their backstory after our reading. They're like, oh, my husband does this, or there's someone a part of the church, right? And that's always my I'm like, can you explain to me? Let's talk. Because I just love that you're here.
Can you explain why?
So it's always
because it is a balance, it's the hardest part, I think, to a lot of this for people who are raised in a specific religion to open their minds to more.
Oh, that's something else then.
Because for any of us to think we have it all figured out and we're right, I mean, no, we're not. None of us are completely right.
No.
I think we all kind of got it right. We're
here. We're here. There's a reason.
And I'm just I'm excited to get back over there and be like, and
come back the next time. Like I said, when you come back the next time, you're going to let go of whatever here this time held you back.
Because I always feel like we just keep ascending a little higher. We learn those lessons, we ascend a little higher. We got to learn more. And at some point, which is why they call a lot of, people will say Jesus, all these people are ascended masters. Mm-hmm. They've learned all the things and they've ascended up, and then that's why they're so close to God, or whatever, because they learn the stuff. They know the things. And we're all just, that's what we're shooting for.
Right. No, if you're trying to be a better person, enlightenment. Yeah. And just, take a little bit of it. Don't consume yourself with everything, no matter what it is. Just take a little bit of it, enjoy it.
Yes.
But don't let it consume you.
Yes. So you mentioned Ouija boards. You don't do Ouija.
I do not do Ouija boards. So I will just be completely transparent because I think that this is what this is all about. But I grew up, my stepmom was also a spiritual, I'd say a medium as well. As a kid growing up, she had a little bit of a different personality with it, but we did do Ouija boards as a child, like her and my friends and I would grab a Ouija board.
Like at a slumber party.
Yep. We did the Ouija boards. And I will tell you that I've seen a lot of stuff that I never want to see again. I think it definitely opens up gateways to, I don't know what it is.
Because you're so open to that anyway.
Very much. But I saw some very scary things that I was like, I can't do it. So people, when I found out I was a medium, would give me like little stuff with Ouija boards. I'm like, seriously, burn all of it. The Ouija board is definitely something that allows an energy. I don't know if it's a person or if it's just a lower, I don't know, demonic. I really don't know what it is. But I will tell you, there's something tied to a Ouija board where they have to use that to communicate versus using someone in my sense.
Because if they need this board to communicate with you, they're vibrating so much lower than you.
Correct.
You shouldn't even bother with it.
Yeah. And that's what I tell people, like, do you believe it? I don't even let my mindset go there, but yes, there's definitely something there. I've seen it. I just will not, I do not think that is it's like black magic. I stay away from that. So there is something, the board moved. I mean, I literally saw, I could say like red eyes in a mirror. It was very much not a good feeling. That's the way I can say it. I felt the same feelings.
And that's the thing, that somebody might use one and like,
that's fine. If that's
right.
what you,
it's just whatever resonates with you.
For me, it definitely scared me to a point of like, I remember it, and there was stuff that came through that my stepmom shared about my best friend that to this day we laugh, like she's still my best friend. And she'd be like, remember when she said this? And sure enough, it came true. Like she would be at a bar, like she was a bartender and she remembers like flipping up. She told me one time she was, doing something with the bar glass and all of a sudden she saw like the sheet go over, like a light go up and she ran over to a guy at a bar and was like, you need to go home. Your mom is really sick. And he's like, lady, you're weird, right? She was just my stepmom was bartending.
Yes.
And she's like, no, you need to go home. Like, I see that your mom is going to take her last breath. So he just got up and like rushed out.
Oh
and
my God.
Came
the
back,
balls on her to say that.
Right. And that again, because he didn't give that message. Like, again, that's what I would do, but she did it. And luckily he came back very appreciative. He came back like a week later and said, you have no idea. I literally walked in. My mother took her last breath as I was walking through the door. There was something there with it, but there's also, there's just she did, she's Blackfoot Indian. They do a lot of different stuff with Native Americans, stuff like that. So I was raised around all that, like burning sage and, all of that.
So you kind of had a foundation.
To some
of it anyway.
So, but like I said, we had a ghost in our house a ghost, if you want to call her that. Her name was Helen, but she was actually taken in the house. Like she passed away there. So when I was a little girl, like anytime my room would be messed up, my parents would have gone there, like, can you clean up your room? I'm like, okay. And I would try to like shove everything out. Well, this lovely lady must have been I don't even know, clean freak, but she would dump my dressers and drawers. Like my whole bedroom, I'd go in there and you'd hear it, and my stepmom would say something like, oh, you ticked off Helen. She's in there dumping your room. So I tell people like, oh my Lord, they can actually, they move stuff, but they would she'd pull all my drawers off and like literally dump my whole room would be like in the middle. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. My whole room would be in the middle and I would have to clean it all up.
And that was just a normal day at your house.
Normal day at my house. Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So we were all raised a little differently.
I said like,
you had experiences dumping stuff in the middle of your room. I was getting told I was going to hell for painting my nails.
Oh yeah. See, we're raised very different.
And getting my ears pierced.
Yeah. And I tell you, it's different. It's different, but I'm like, it was fine being, and I will tell you, there's a lot of, I did this as a child, but luckily I have one best friend that stayed with me through it all since we were young girls. But she's like, I just thought you were nuts. Like we just thought, my mom, myself, my brother, we just all thought you were batshit crazy.
She's the wacky girl.
She's a wacky girl. She had a really, like, she's trying to get attention. She's like, we just all thought you were a pathological liar. And now this, like, as years went on, she's like,
pathological liar, and it was fun.
It was fun. Yes,
fun to hang out.
We're gonna lock you up soon. So like, it's just
what's gonna happen with Laura today?
And now they're like, okay, this makes sense. But like, again, we didn't know. Like, I look at you. I didn't know it was a spirit. I just would think it was a human. Right. I didn't know
like,
it was. I'd sit there and talk to people like, who are you talking to? I'm like, I'm talking to Nancy. They're like,
is your husband woo woo?
He is not. He is he has no choice at this point. He said he's like, whatever. He definitely says like, now I understand it, because there's so many people come up to me in public or I've had readings with. He's like, there's definitely something there. Like I've heard testimonial pure out of people's mouths, but to him, he's just like, I know that what you're doing, there's something there to it, but also it's not something he wants to dabble in. Like he's like, if you get a message from me, that's great, but he's not going to get readings. So he supports me and is supportive of it.
Yeah, but it's
from a distance. Like he knows there's something there. He's like, he always wishes me good luck with my readings, all of that.
Of course,
very supportive. But
so he's just like loving and supportive. And that's all we really need anyway. We don't need people to do everything we do.
I feel bad because he gets really like at work and stuff. All the guys, like they all bust his balls because his wife's a medium. So like, oh, can she like bring Jesus in and figure out what really happened, or could they get like Colonel Sanders and get like the original chicken recipe?
He gets heckled a little bit.
He gets heckled all the time. So he, it's always a joke, but it's he's learned to take it and
he's used to it.
Yeah. So he's like, your wife is the one that talks to dead people. So
okay.
So,
okay. So Laura, we're going to have all of her stuff in the show notes. So if you want to book a reading, it's all there. If you feel like you're ready, if you're not ready yet, like she said, don't gift it unless you know it's someone open to a reading.
Please.
Yeah. Cause that makes it difficult on you and them.
I don't want to pull through.
That's just awkward. That's not a great gift.
No.
Okay. Don't do it. But all her information's there because she does classes for intuition, readings, like
retreats. Yeah.
Retreats. It's all there. And so you can find all of her information there. And we are going to have her back because she was one of the first intuition classes I took. And so we're going to learn more about if you're at the place in your journey where you want to start tapping into your own intuition, you can do it. We can all do it.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to talk about all the things that go along with that. Hopefully this demystified some of the getting a reading. Yes. So if you were someone who was a little bit nervous or scared, it's all normal. She's not dressed in all black with a crown of thorns. She's just in her everyday clothes, you guys. And she's not going to tell you anything you don't want to hear. And Spirit's not going to share anything bad anyway.
I tell you nothing negative. You're not going to show up and find out the day you're going to die in a bunch of terrible things. It's not going to happen. It's not. That's
no, it's not going to happen. And so, yeah. And you do probably 30 minutes, 45
30 minutes or 45 minutes.
30 or 45.
Yep.
Which you can get plenty of info in that amount of time.
Yeah. I always say 30 minutes is perfect to start off. You're a very inquisitive person. You have a lot of questions or want to really
You may want to go a little longer.
I want to do the 45-minute one. But 30 minutes, you're going to get a lot. That's a lot of information to connecting with spirit.
Yes. Yeah. And do they need to request the body scan part or do you just kind of do that?
It just depends. They don't have to request it. They can put that in the notes if they wish to have that during our session. But normally, Spirit will usually usually Spirit will bring it to me and be like, okay, let's do a body scan, see if they're open to it. That usually kind of comes in part of the reading. Sometimes.
And who's helping with the body scan?
That's Spirit. So I say that's my guides that are coming with that body scan.
Those are guides with body scans. That's not like my dad isn't going to tell you what's wrong with my body.
No, he might say like, I had heart issues. Please make sure you're getting your heart scans done.
Yeah.
Spirit comes through it that way.
But when it's hereditary stuff, make sure you're on it.
Yes. But normally when I do the body scan, that is me just kind of scanning your body and my guide saying, okay, it's like I go through the body and it'll just light up kind of like a laser beam. It'll light up where there's an issue or
where there's an issue.
I wouldn't want to say an issue, but there's something going on. We need to bring some awareness to this area. That's what that will do.
Yeah. And it can be everything from apparently dry hair.
Itchy
even if you just need to change your shampoo.
Yep. Plantar fasciitis.
They're here for us.
Yeah, they're here for us. They're letting you know.
They're here for us.
But yeah, I'm not going to see you break your femur or nothing like that, right? It's stuff that you're going to just have little awarenesses, gut issues.
Little things like just check on your abdomen a little bit.
Check on your abdomen. Make sure you're getting your scans. A lot of times people are like, just go get your breast scan. You haven't done it, right? Like
it's just a reminder. That doesn't mean you have breast cancer. It means I'm just reminding you to keep up on the things.
Keep up on the things.
To stay, because they want us to stay healthy as long as we can.
100%.
Right?
They want us to keep living over here.
Until we're done. Until I'm in just a big diamond. Until I'm just a bunch of little fun diamonds.
Can't wait. I still have to get a reservation for that.
I've told you what I want. I want to be diamonds. And I don't care if my great-great-grandchildren pawn them off for cash.
Yep.
I'll just go enjoy being on someone else's little finger or whatever. Yeah. I don't know how many, I'm going to research how many diamonds I can get out of one body, but
I love it.
Okay. I'm off on another tangent. I got to wrap this up. No.
Well, okay. I look forward to coming back and talking all about
Yes, we're going to we're going to tap into our intuition next, which is a perfect beginning point to a spiritual journey too.
Good.
Once you're on board, we're going to do it. All right. Thank you, Laura. We're going to dive back into intuition when she comes back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. Listen, I know your time is valuable. And right now I'm feeling super grateful and totally humbled that you chose to hang out with me today. If this podcast resonates with you, could you do me a solid and hit that subscribe or follow button? That's going to help you out because you're never going to miss an episode. And it helps me out because you're never going to miss an episode. And if you have like 30 seconds more, could you leave a 5-star rating and maybe leave a kick-ass review? Thank you so much, and I can't wait to continue our journey on the next episode. Oh, and I can't forget the fine print. You know, the legal jargon. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We're just two friends on this journey together, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or any other qualified professional. You get it. See you next time.